Welcome to the Mexpreneurs Podcast, the podcast about the stories of Mexican tech startup founders who are building world-class, fast-growing companies and having a positive impact at a large scale. My name is Sergio Chavez. I'm a Mexican based in Germany, a tech startup founder, executive, and mentor, and your host. Today we have Mauricio Lezama with us. Mauricio is co-founder and co-CEO of Vivere Stays, a travel tech startup based in Madrid, Spain. Vivere Stays is dedicated to empowering small and independent hotels with advanced technology solutions, allowing them to compete on a level playing field with larger chains. Its platform provides these hotels with tools for efficient revenue management, dynamic pricing, and improved guest experiences. Since its launch, Vivere Stays has expanded its portfolio to over 1,500 properties across Spain and Europe and has established partnerships with leading property management software vendors like Misterplan, Avirato, and Apaleo. Mauricio is originally from Mexico City. He has a diverse background with experience in the telecommunications, automotive, and hospitality industries and across corporates and startups. He moved to Spain in 2006 during his bachelor studies, seeking new opportunities and a fresh start in a dynamic environment. What began as a 6-month plan turned into nearly 20 years as he built his career and family in Spain, eventually leading him to co-found Vivere Stays. I hope you enjoy. Support for this episode comes from Skyflare, a cybersecurity company with a mission to make e-commerce safe for online shops and which currently protects dozens of Shopify-based businesses through its 360 degrees holistic protection. As an online shop owner, you know that every cent you spend in online advertisement counts, especially in Google AdWords. Therefore, keeping a tight control of your budget and the ROI are essential. Nevertheless, there are bad actors out there who can make those costs explode. Skyflare's Click Fraud Protection Solution helps you prevent and resolve those threats. At Mexpreneurs, we had the privilege to have Skyflare's founders in the podcast, including Juan Ocampo, a Mexican tech startup founder, and Skyflare's Chief Operations Officer. Visit skyflare.com/Mexpreneurs to learn more and also to get a 10% discount during your first 3 months of your annual subscription. Skyflare is at the moment available in Europe, Mexico, and Canada through the Shopify App Store. Hello, Mauricio. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Sergio. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Mauricio. So let's get started. Please tell us, who is Mauricio Lezama?
Mauricio Lezama. I was born in Mexico City. I am Chilango. I'm from Ciudad de Mexico. I have 47 years old, and I was raised with my sister, father and mother. I only had this family, and I was studying over there, Cuapa. Cuapa was the region when I was born. And I studied in la UVM, Universidad del Valle de Mexico. I finished my studies over there in communication sciences because I was looking for a career where I can improve my commercial skills. I always loved sales. I was born in a sales community with my mother and my father. They are entrepreneurs and they are really commercial. They made their own companies. And I was always willing to be the best commercial, to give these sales and perform the best sales for my father's company. And that's why I studied that career. Then I were living in León, Guanajuato. I went to León, Guanajuato for 2 years, also to continue studying and to improve these skills. And then my mother had a sandblast company for mugs. They had this sandblast and they made some designs over the mugs. And some entrepreneurs in Colombia knew about us, and I went to Colombia for a month to give them some sessions of how we do this kind of job. And we built over there all the machine, and it was a really nice experience over there because they grew up over there, and then I came back. So it's when I decided to move from Mexico because I saw that I have some more opportunities in other regions about what I wanted to study, and I came to the Complutense de Madrid here in Madrid, Spain, to finish my studies. I came with 28 years. I was big enough to continue because in the middle I was working, I stopped the career, then I continued working, and then I came over here. And it was in the early 2006 when I came over here. I came over only for 6 months, and I'm still here. I have 2 daughters. I married Monica. She's from Cáceres, Spain, the region of Extremadura. And then I founded Vivere Stays. So that's more or less what Mauricio is.
An incredible journey, Mauricio. What I found fascinating is you mentioned that you were always interested in sales, but actually you went into communications and realized that, yeah, there's actually no bachelor on sales or something that you can study to be good at sales. So I think communication was probably the closest to that you mentioned.
Yes, it was the closest. Right now, there are a lot of careers that are aligned to improve your sales skills. Right now, you can find some master degrees and boot camps. Also, I will start teaching in a boot camp, ID boot camp, so it's called here in Spain, and I'm gonna teach 2 modules over there of 40 hours to improve sales skills for new sales leaders. I'm gonna be a teacher over there, and I like that because, as you said, in my times there were no specific schools to improve your soft skills at sales and to new technologies and all of this.
And you also mentioned you already come from an entrepreneurial family. So your parents already had businesses. So you were working, if I understood correctly, from an early age on the family businesses. So those were your first steps already in the entrepreneurial world, I assume.
Yes, they were. Well, my father was working for 20 years to Mexicana de Aviación. I don't know if you remember, and he was working over there. It was the financial department. I don't really remember. And then he realized that he wants another thing. So he built his own marketing advertising company. But in those times, we were selling a lot for big companies, these publicity items, the pants, the caps, the shirts, and we have to win these licitaciones, I forgot the word, to the company have these these big contracts. So I started over there in my early 15 years, and I started with my father. I always say that my father is the best salesperson that I know. And I was walking with him. Also, in the other side, my mother had a ceramic school where you can paint for all the women. They can paint some figures over there. Then she opened another knitting school. And then at the final, they found this niche of the mugs, the publicity mugs with all these logos in the mugs. It was like a boom over there. It was a hype of the mugs. And we opened this fabric. It was a really big fabric with over 60 people working over there with big machines. And we had a lot of big contracts. And that's why I never took out of these companies. And I decided, well, to improve my skills over there.
And you also mentioned because of your mother's company, you went to Colombia, if I'm not mistaken. But also at the end, you ended up going to Spain. So what exactly drove you to Spain? Why did you move to Spain in the first place? You already had some family connections to Spain. Were you interested in Spain for whatever reason? What led you there?
My mind was, well, I have these jobs over here. We have these companies. I can be fine with my life. I can have a good salary in Mexico. But I was not really satisfied with myself. I needed to jump in another state. I don't want to depend on my parents' companies or my parents' jobs. So there was an opportunity to come to study to the Universidad Europea over here because there was a connection with the Universidad del Valle. But I didn't want to come to Universidad Europea. So I started to investigate. I love the Universidad Complutense, and they gave me the opportunity to come over here for 6 months. And then when I decided to jump, it was like a personal satisfaction to come to Europe, to know another culture. Also, you have over here the same language. So that's what I decided on. And then the love came, and I stay over here.
That's always a great motivation to make a living in a different place. I have the same experience in Germany. But then when you moved to Spain, so you had no connections to Spain. You went on your own, built everything from scratch, built your path from the beginning.
No, I don't have no connection. I came over here. I had 2 friends that they were studying over here. I came to their place, and they are starting to work because my money was had limits, and I started to work in a bar. It was the first work that I had. I started to work in a bar because I needed some money to enter because I went to live alone. I didn't want to live with more people. I didn't want it. I was realizing what to do. I was studying. I saw the opportunities over here. Then I realized that my second name, Lezama, it's from El País Vasco, that we have the Atlético de Bilbao trains over there in La Ciudad Lezama. So I said, oh my God, I'm from here. I have to be over here. Then I started to jump in these connections at the bar. You know that we are like psychologists in the bar. And I started to make some connections over there. And I jumped in different jobs, earning less money at the bar, but I had to start in something, no? And I started to work for Vodafone. a big company of telecommunications, and started to work for Vodafone. And then I jumped internally in Vodafone to great accounts that they call the big accounts. I started to manage big accounts over here with a lot of revenue. They made a lot of revenue for big companies for Vodafone. And in the middle, I started to more connections. And I jumped to Norgate. It's a big company of rental cars, only for big companies. And in the middle, I was continuing studying. I finished. I prepared some marketing in the UDIMA, que es la Universidad a Distancia here in Spain. There was an opportunity at Norgate. I was trying always to build something, but I didn't have the connections. I didn't have the money to build something, but I wanted to start in a startup. So I have a big client for Norgate that is called BP. BP, it's not right now a startup. In those times, it was a startup. It started renting cars, but by subscription. They changed the way they rent cars, only by subscription. You don't have these contracts for 1-2 years. Like leasings or rentings. So I started to talk with Alejandro and Hans, and they told me, well, we have to build the enterprise department because they were only making subscriptions for particulars, for one-to-one, for B2C. And then they wanted to build B2B, So I built the department with them. I built a department, the B2B department. It was a startup. It was crazy. A lot of changes. The thing that I love now, a lot of changes. Come over here, talking with some investors, building from scratch all the B2B department. And finally, we built it. We grew over there in this part, but the investors decided to close this B2B department. And then it's when I jumped to another big startup, an Indian unicorn that it's called Oyo Rooms. They talked to me, they came to me, and they present me the project over here. And I was contracted by the head of sales to the head of sales department. Well, I was the head of sales for all Madrid, for Madrid region, Castilla León, and Castilla-La Mancha region. And I decided to move to Oyo Rooms, another unicorn. Well, they raised in those times $1.2 billion. And yes, that was a lot of money. BP made an exit. It was the Renault Group buy them, and well, it's a boom over here. They are in all Europe, so I'm really glad for them. Then we construct this part of the sales department also in Oyo. I was always willing to have this sales department, and we grew a lot here. Over there, there was the CEO and the main director of the country manager. It was Tobias York, my co-founder right now. And there was Berta Vilardell, the head of operations from Oyo Room. Then we started to work in this department. We built the KPI, they built the go-to-market, the target group. We built all the technology that we needed to improve the leads, and all the sales team, making interviews. Well, it was a really hard work, but I was really satisfied of what I worked, what I was doing. So that's more or less when I met my co-founders, because I met over there Tobias and Berta.
That means from being in a corporate role, you then evolve into startups, and you basically stayed in startups ever since, no? Since you moved to VP and then to Oyo and now your own company. No? And if I understand correctly, also, it's been mainly in sales leadership roles that you've been evolving since then. But if I understand the industries of these startups, they have been slightly different, no? So with BP, with car rental, Oyo also slightly different. Could you walk us about how these experiences actually led you to your own startup in the hotel industry?
Since Vodafone, I was managing also teams. We have this big account, but I have a little team below me of 5 salespersons that they helped me to have this key account management of these big accounts, and to make these cross-sellings over there. And also I was leading those times. The thing is, there are different kind of companies in different sectors, but the sales are sales. If you're good at sales, if you love sales, you can sell peanuts, you can sell telephone lines, you can sell cars, but you have to love this profession. In the company that I moved, it was my hard skill, my good skills, the ones for the sales and how to manage teams and how to make these connections with the client. I moved to these companies because I trust the company, and how to say it, I believe in the products that I was selling. If I don't believe in one product in all my career, here. If I don't believe in what product to sell, I don't sell it. I don't want it. I don't feel confident. I don't like to cheat the final client. It was something that my father always was saying. You have to sell. You don't have to cheat. You have to be an honest person of what you're selling, because you're the one that is giving your face and the one that is going to be pointing at your face if you make it wrong. So yes, it was a change. It was a challenge. I loved it. When I started at BP, I love this entrepreneurial stage and this startup. I was following a lot of startups over there, and I wanted to be in that startup. I sacrificed money from changing from one company that was a corporate company like Norgate with big salaries, with commissions, etc., etc. And I sacrificed because I wanted to be part of this new venture. And that's why you have two things that I loved. One, the hotelier sector, the tourism sector, sales, my own team. It was a startup. They had a lot of money and they give me like a carta blanca to make it from scratch and to manage my way. And that's why I was finished over there. I continue right now with Vivere Stays in this sector, the hospitality sector and the hotelier sector.
We will be right back for a conversation with our guest. Support for this episode comes from Partnership Leaders, the leading community of partnership professionals and executives in SaaS and tech with over 1,500 members globally. We're living the decade of the ecosystem, and every CEO needs to become a partnership leader. Just take a look at the top companies in the world today, like Microsoft, Google, and Apple. They have all become platform companies, and partnership executives in IT have been the ones leading these transformations. Partnership Leaders brings these executives together and is building a playbook to enable CEOs and business leaders across industries to transform their organizations into platform companies. If you're a tech startup founder, Partnership Leaders is the place for you to learn how to leverage partnerships to take your business to the next level. I'm a member of PL and co-host of the Germany chapter and have seen firsthand the richness and value of this incredible community. Visit partnershipleaders.com to learn more and to apply to become a member. Make sure to mention in your application that Mexpreneurs referred you so you can receive a special price if your application is accepted. So you mentioned that you had it all from what I hear. You have, again, great support, a great role, money to build a team. No? But at the end of the day, you decided to leave and build your own company. So what actually drove you to take that decision?
There were coincidences because we were growing a lot here in Spain with Oyo, but there was a big problem. They had a really closed mindset about how they want to work here in Spain. They thought that the tourism over here, it was the same as in Asia, as in India, as in China. And they came with a technology that didn't work. We had a lot of meetings with them. We have to change this. We have to make it this way. It's not the same way that we sell room over here, like we sell in India or in Malaysia. Also, they were starting in Mexico. They have a big presence in Mexico. In USA, they have a lot of presence. But here in Spain and in Europe, because they opened Italy also and Germany, they crashed. They crashed because the technology. They didn't want to change it. Also came the pandemic and it was a big crash, And Oyo decided to get out of Europe, having big clients, having a lot of hotels, but they decided to move out and close all your rooms in Europe. And they decided to center only in Asia, USA and Mexico, because they open also Brazil and they close it. They open Peru and they close it. So they mainly right now they are in USA and Mexico and in Asia. They are big in Asia, no? So that's knowing the sector, knowing that we can build a really good technology for the hoteliers, that there was a need for the hoteliers because our target group is there are small hotels, small hotel chains and independent hotels, no? Also campings, glampings, but not that they belong to big chains like Velia, like Radisson, like Sheraton, no. Our sweet spot is in mainly where they have 30 to 100 rooms per hotel. But we know that the hoteliers needed this. They needed because I was face to face. I was visiting all Spain to know what they need of the hotels. And that's when I decided, and we decided with Tobias and Berta to build the new technology to make it work here in Spain.
So you were close to the customer, close to the opportunity. And as you mentioned, it was a combination of factors also that Oyo decided to exit Europe. But still, it was a big step for you, for Tobias and Berta as well. But what was, from your perspective, like the trigger that the three of you said, like, okay, let's go for it?
There were really a lot of factors, no? Because the main one, I was visiting all my clients. I never considered myself a boss. I don't like to be a boss. I'm a team member, no? I make all the visits with my team. I went to the hotel, to that little hotel, to the hostel, and I was getting, because it's good for me to know the information from them, the real information, the needs that they had, no? And I had all the needs that they weren't covered. Well, we have competitors. Yes, we have competitors, but the main target of these competitors are big chains or big hotels. So they weren't affordable for these little hotels to have this kind of technology. And with the pandemic, changed a lot of the tourist sector. The big chains were moving to these little secondary markets and were pushing these little hotels to make different revenue management, and they hadn't the technology. The revenue management, you have to move the rates depending how is the sector, how is the demand. It's a high season, low season. And the little hotels never move. They have three different type of rates: high, low, medium season, and that's it. And then came an Ibis, or they came Amelia with these different kind of rates, and they were eating. I have to say, they were eating these little hotels. So there was the need over there, no? And also Tobias he's also a big entrepreneur. He had different companies behind. He opened another. He has from the financial sector. So also he knew how to open this, no? We have over there this mindset. Also Berta, the head of operation, knew how to make it work. I have all the ideas. Tobias another main ideas, Berta know how to work. And then our team that is based in Germany, the product managers and the one that they're building our technology, they're based, and we knew it, they were part of us. That's why we decided to go for this target group, because it's a big, really, really, really big target group, and not only in Spain, in Europe, because we have presence also in Germany, with these kind of hotels. So we are continuing improving, and that's why we decided that we said, well, okay, we are in 2020. We can only work from home. Let's think, and let's build. And we launched Vivere Stays.
That's an incredible origin story. And of course, I'm very much looking forward to the next episode when we talk with Tobias more about these. Now, I would love to switch gears, Mauricio. So you mentioned you've been living in Spain now for, 20 years? Huh? What is still your connection to Mexico today?
Well, my connection to Mexico is all my family. I don't have any family over here. My parents, my cousins, my grandmother, that still lives over there. They are all over there. And the connection is that I never, like a Mexican, my heart is over there, no? I have two nationalities. I have a Spanish and the Mexican nationality. But I always say that if I have to decide in one football match, I always go with Mexico. This kind of example, I have to say, it's a kind of example. My connection over there is that I know that in Mexico, there are a lot of needs of our sector and our technology. And my father is willing to launch over there something because he has this strength and he wants it. And my connection over there is also my heart, my family, and where I was born. I love my Mexico.
And I love especially what you mentioned about the football match. I think that determines a lot. I think where you come from always determines whose team you cheer for at some point of time. That's fascinating. And you, as you mentioned, there's many little hotel chains there where I assume also the technology that you're building can be super interesting in the future. That's fascinating. Mauricio, we're unfortunately reaching the end of our conversation, and we always wrap up these conversations is with your best advice for other aspiring founders. I think you have an incredible trajectory from corporate to startups to them building your own startup. You've seen different industries, been in different sales roles. So I think you have seen a lot, experienced a lot. What will be that best advice that you would give to someone that is thinking about going into entrepreneurship in a similar way as you are?
Well, I have to say the first advice is it is never late to build something. It's never late. I built it with 44 years, my own startup. It's never late to build it. If you have the idea, if you have the target, if you have the goal, go for it. Go for it. I think that you have to make it once in a life, because this experience, you will never have this experience if you don't do it. But you don't have to go with a whole bunch of ideas. You don't have to be like a Swiss Army knife. with multifunctions. You have to have one knife, one target, one idea, and go for it. And if this idea innovates, if this idea creates needs, if this idea helps others, go for it. Build it, construct it, love it, and go for it. Never late, never late. You have to sacrifice a lot, but it's worth it. You have to be resilient. You have to knock a lot of doors. And you have to be with a big spirit and with a big smile to know that you are making something that will mark the difference between your competitors. I think that all is invented, all is done, but you can switch some parameters and make it different. That's why I will advise to the new entrepreneurs.
That's fascinating. And there's always room for improvement. I think despite the fact that everything has been created, I think there's always needs, there's always room for something new, for something better. And I love especially also what you mentioned about the focus, like focus on one thing and start with it.
Yeah. You have to focus. You have to focus because there's something that always Tobias mentioned, and it's true, but it's not like this, no? It's not literally. Copy with pride. It's not copy with pride. It's copy with pride, but improve it. Go for another thing. You have the main idea because I said the shoes are invented. You cannot make shoes. Well, you can make different kind of shoes. No, you can make for different people. There's an example of two entrepreneurial girls that they built My Way heels. They are heels for women, but they make it the different way that they can change the heels to be more comfortable, and they can make it to be for 24 hours. Well, they changed the ideas.
There's always room for innovation, always room for people wanting to address those needs. That's fascinating, Mauricio. Well, thank you very much for this fantastic conversation, and I'm very much looking forward to the next one together with Tobias. So thank you very much, Mauricio, for being here today.
Thank you, Sergio, to give me this spot.
Fantastic. Bye-bye, Mauricio. Thank you.
Goodbye.
And thanks to you for joining us today. Please remember to subscribe via your favorite podcast app to be notified about new episodes and share with us your feedback. We would love to hear from you. Thank you also to the Maxpreneurs team, Valeria Morel, Hector Barragan from Hyper Voltage, Francisco Jaimes, Pamela Elizalde, Katia Cruz, Rocío Marroquín. I am Sergio Chavez. See you next time.